Yes, we are back with the same poem that we were dealing in the first part of the video. So now, as I've said, the first stanza has spoken a lot about the free bird, its power, its favors, and of course, how he claims the sky. So now, the vis-a-vis, it talks about the contrast with that of the caged bird. And now the second stanza starts, but a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tired. So he opens his throat to sing. So poet Angelou says that the bird moves through a very narrow cage. The space of the cage is very, very limited. It talks about how it struggles to fight against space. It feels to be out of the space. So what does it do? It stalks around his narrow cage and cannot even see through his bars of rage. His condition is so limited. It has been tied so badly that as if it is blinded. His sight has been limited to only that of the prison. And these bars of rage are metaphorical bars. Of course, bars it talks about the limited space. And why it is of rage? Because it talks about or speaks about the anger of the bird. And what is its condition? Its wings are clipped, tied. Its feet are of course bonded. It cannot move. But, as I have said, she always finds a reason to leave. And that's what she does here. What does the caged bird do? To have a plight from the situation. It does opens its throat to sing. Its freedom is taken away. The wings are clipped. Of course, the wings are always associated with flight. And when we say that the wings are clipped, what does it mean? The freedom is restricted. So his wings are clipped mean that freedom is forcibly taken away. It cannot fly even if it deserves to. Its feet are tied. But a bird, free bird that we had, the image in the first stanza of the poem, what was the free bird like? It was free to move about. So that image and this image stands just in opposite contradiction. Of course, stands in complete opposites to each other. So it represents the fact of the alienation of the birds. Of course, Maya Angelou, being a black woman, always felt alienated. Why? Because she was a marginalist. She could not step to the majority, step up with the majority. So similarly, the bird feels out of the place. But, as I said, the most important thing is that despite being utterly despondent, the caged bird opens his throat to sing. That seems to be his only joy, only respite, only reason to live. And to have that quest, that honest desire for freedom. So this is the second stanza. Second stanza talks about the condition of the caged bird. Its feet are clipped. Its wings are clipped and feet are tied. It just tries to escape the narrow cage, and the bars of rage stands as an obstruction, but does not give up. Just like our poet has never given up. What does it do? It opens its throat to sing, to let out its voice, because we always have the freedom of expression, to speak, to voice. That's a basic freedom. So similarly, this is what the second stanza is all about. Let us get into the third stanza. I hope it's clear. We have just dealt with the two images standing in polar opposites to each other. First the free bird and then the caged bird. Now follows the third stanza. Again we have the picture of the caged bird. The caged bird sings with fearful trill of the things unknown, but longed for still, and its tune is heard on the distant hill. For the caged bird sings of freedom. Such a beautiful stanza. The caged bird has a wavering voice. He's singing of freedom, something he does not have. So as I said, Mr. Shelley has always, these are some epoch lines made by Mr. Shelley. Our sweetest songs are those that tells us of the saddest thoughts. So similarly, here Mrs. Angelou says that the bird does not know what freedom means, but it sings of freedom. Why? Because it does not have freedom, so it feels like singing of freedom. When freedom is restricted from you, won't you try more harder to gain freedom? So similarly, this antithetical condition, this opposite condition, gives the bird its voice. The idea of freedom is its dream, one that cannot achieve. So he sings about it. What we do not get, we try to achieve that. The bird does that. There is fear in his voice. See the lines? With fearful trill. He had never known what freedom tastes like, but he hopes to have it for his own. His voice can be heard from distant hill. That means his voice can be heard to the distant places, where it inspires others to dream of freedom. As Maya Angelou has always done, she has always tried to make her voice heard to those who are suffering. So similarly, the bird also does that. That talks about her subjectivity. Subjective is the poem if the question comes. Of course, the poem is very subjective because it is written from a caged bird viewpoint, and Maya Angelou was one. And of course, these things that she tries to sing, she tries to voice out, of course, talks about the plight of the caged bird. So its voice can be heard from distant places, on hills, where it inspires others to dream of freedom. The caged bird doesn't sing of sadness. So what is expected that when a person feels sad, the person should talk about sadness. But no, our bird doesn't do that. It of course speaks of hope, of inspiration, of freedom, as if it knows how to be free is like. So this is what the third stanza is more or less like. It sings with the fearful tone. Why is it scared? It is scared to sing. It is scared to dream of freedom. Why? Because there is always this question lurking. Will it ever test freedom? We don't know that. And its voice is heard in the distant hills. That means it reaches out. It sings in such notes. And of course, why does it reach out to the distant places? Because it sings of freedom, my dear friends. Who doesn't want to be free? So similarly, this is what the third stanza is all like. Let's get into the fourth stanza of the poem. Extremely sorry. We have already dealt with the fourth stanza. No, we have dealt with the third stanza. We will be moving on to the fourth stanza. So in the fourth stanza, the free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. So the free bird, on the other hand, reveals his freedom. It's completely ecstatic. He enjoys flying through the trade wind that blows through the trees. Sighing trees, a metaphor. Why the trees sigh? Sighing trees, personification. Extremely sorry. Why? Because the trees cannot sigh. It's the voice that is created by the wind by the trees when the wind blows past the trees. So it's a personification. Probably refers to the sighing sound made by the breeze while passing through the leafy branches. It gives an indication to the lack of freedom, as the trees are also tired. Now you see, the trees are tired, isn't it? Just like the caged bird. So when the wind flows through it, it's as if the sighing sound. Why the trees are tired? It feels like because the trees are not allowed to move. Have you ever thought? We always see the tree standing at one place. It is not allowed to move. It's just tied to the ground like the caged bird. So the free bird now thinks of the fat worm that will be his food. Thinks about quenching its hunger. So as if the fat worms waits for the free bird to come and have them. It's kind of the opportunities always line up in front of the free bird. Does not have to just struggle for that. And the wind seems to be its feathers, water and earth all beneath him. And the whole sky is with him. He feels majestic in his freedom. He feels like a king. And he calls the entire sky his own domain. By names the sky his own, the poet wishes to express that the bird knows himself to be the proprietor of the entire universe. Here the sky symbolizes universe. So as if the bird knows that everything will be at its beck and call. He will be satisfied with food that will be waiting for him. And then he will name the sky his own. He will be the only emperor. He will be the unconquerable name in this entire universe. So this is what the free bird's condition look like. Just in complete contrast to what have we seen to the caged bird's condition. So this is what the stanza number 3rd and 4th look like. It talks about the caged bird singing with fearful trill, with fear of things unknown, doesn't know what he is singing of because he has never tested freedom. But he longed for freedom. That's why he sings, and his voice can be heard in the distance. Because it sings for freedom. Because he cries for freedom. Because he wants to break free. And the 4th stanza, here the free bird is thinking not only of one breeze, but thinking of the trade winds that will be just moving softly through the trees. Sighing trees, of course, personification. Trees sigh because they're tired. They're bonded. And the fat worm, that is food, will be waiting for the free bird, and he will claim the entire universe to be his own. So this is what the third and the fourth stanza look like. So please be there along with me as we delve more into this wonderful poem by Mrs. Maya Angelou. So please stay tuned.